Listen. First rule of music business, you turn stuff off.
You're not talking into the microphone.
Joey.
Okay?
We rolling? Is this it?
Yeah. We're fucking doing it. We're doing it
Shit.
live. Doing it live.
Music and mental health.
What episode is this? What number is it?
This should be numbered 8.
Well, we're back in beautiful Los Angeles. Nice to have you home, sir.
Is that where we are with your host,
Well, I'm not sure where you are mentally.
Brandon David?
Physically. Estamos aquí in Los Angeles.
Physically, I'm here. You wish physically here was Arizona. Clearly.
That's not what I said at all, actually.
Okay, well, let's not get into what you said, okay? Because this is about now.
Arizona's dope, though. Shout out to Arizona.
Isn't it interesting that the last episode I mentioned the past, present, and the future, and that Kendrick Lamar video we just watched today said past, present, and future?
It was cool. So he's making like a production house, like production studio or something?
I think that was a teaser
Yeah.
for all the
But he was
goodies
pushing
to
everybody
come.
to the website, which was like, it looked to be like a creative like studio, like brand house.
Well, he's branding the album.
I don't know, but they... Maybe. We'll see.
That's what I'm getting from it. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But from my perspective, it was like, here's the album that's about to come out. Let me throw a bunch of really dope visuals at you that have a deep message. But I'm going to slide in some of my songs here and there. And you're going to hear them faintly. And it's me teasing you because this shit is fire. You already know it's fire. I mean, it's Kendrick Lamar.
It's Kendrick Lamar. The dude
Come
that
on.
raps every 2 years.
Is that what it is? Every 2 years?
Kinda, yeah.
No, it's been 4 years since Untitled mastered. What's the name of the record? Is it Untitled Mastered?
Yeah.
Untitled Remastered? Is that what it is?
Untitled, I think it's just called.
Something like that. I saw the other day. It's been 4 years since that album's come out.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Where it was like The Heart, right? The Heart 4 or something?
4 years since that album came out. It was... I can't really remember what the artwork was. But that's just like, wow, time is really... That shows you how time moves.
How does it move?
It moves based on Kendrick Lamar, apparently.
Right.
The great Kendrick Lamar.
You know, one of the coolest stories that I like about Kendrick Lamar is that he grew up on Rosecrans
Yeah.
in Compton.
Yeah.
But then when he bought his first house, or bought his latest house, he wanted to live in Manhattan Beach, but he told the realtor that it had to be on Rosecrans so that he could live on the same street.
Why do I feel like did we talk about that on this podcast?
I don't know. I might have just told you,
before?
yeah, but I think that's a pretty cool story.
You know, I think that's a pretty cool story too. What a hell of a, pardon me, an accomplishment. What a hell of a achievement.
Hell yeah.
You know.
So aside from that new Kendrick Lamar, what are you listening to these days?
A lot of jazz.
Yeah, there is a lot of jazz.
A lot of jazz. A lot of Phineas Newborn Jr.
We were listening to that Ventura in the car yesterday. That was really nice.
Ventura in the car yesterday, cruising the valley. Bumping Ventura. R&B album of the year. I actually couldn't agree more with the Grammy Association for their selection.
How do you feel the Grammy Association gets it normally?
I feel like they rarely get it right.
Okay.
I think overall. But for that occasion, they got it right. I think Mr. Anderson has an amazing album. That was honestly probably my favorite album of last year, maybe.
I think it's really cool how these artists are doing a lot of crossover stuff, right? Like Tyler, the Creator, really made an R&B album too.
Yeah, and are they crossing over though? That's the thing, or are they just making music? That's the other thing about it. Like, what do you mean?
They're crossing over from what they were previously known for.
Right.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I love it when artists reinvent themselves. The best artists reinvent themselves constantly, you know?
I just think it's funny that people love to put artists in boxes and determine when they step out and cross over the rim of the box.
Well, I think the industry kind of does that, right? I mean, you have to like classify a genre, don't you? I mean, just to win an award, just to be on iTunes, you have to declare yourself as something, don't you?
You know, do you have to do that?
I don't know. Like when you submit music.
Oh, well,
I guess I should probably know this.
When you're submitting, yeah, I guess you do. Technically.
Yeah.
You have to, check boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
And fill in bubbles.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah, but it's kind of a necessary evil in some ways, right? Like, if you're a consumer, think about it. It's all about the consumer, right? If you're a consumer, like, and you're just trying to find music to listen to.
You're at Circuit City and you got to know where to get the CD.
Exactly.
Remember Circuit City?
Of course I do.
Kids, do you remember Circuit City out there? Kids, you're listening right now. Do you know what Circuit City is?
Where service is state of the art.
Was that their attack? Is that right? Well, shit. What is it now?
It's just gone now, bro.
That's sad, man. Circuit City was a great place.
Not that great.
They had...
it's like a broke-ass Best Buy.
They had demos of
I know, I was
PlayStation.
There. I was there, dog. I know.
Nintendo 64.
But if you were there today, you wouldn't be like, yeah, this place is dope. It's like being at Walmart.
Walmart?
Yeah, go to the electronics section at Walmart. That's basically Circuit City.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Walmart. Whatever. Walmart. Getting it.
I'm a Target man. I'm a little more fine dining.
I mean, it's not like I go to these places, but I got no hate for Walmart or Target.
You know, that was actually a joke. When I said that, I was just kidding.
I didn't get it.
It was a bad joke. I've been making a lot of bad jokes on this podcast. Good thing this isn't a podcast based on comedy. This is music and mental health. And how's your current mental health, my brother?
I'm happy to report that it's very strong. Yeah, I feel really good. There's a lot of good things happening in life. My move to LA absolutely was the right choice. And the Cannabis podcast is doing well, and starting to make some movements in this entertainment game. So feels good. I'm feeling good, man. How about you? How's your mental health?
The entertainment game, you say?
That's what I said.
Oh, this is just a big game to you? Is that what this is? You're just having fun?
That's all I'm ever doing. If I'm not having fun, I'm doing it wrong.
Well, that's... I think that's a great bookmark or maybe a bullet point to tap on for a moment. And my brother, Mr. David, said, if I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it right. And I think that's a great motto to live by. Because there's a lot of people out there that might be doing things
that they think they should, that they're supposed to be doing.
Right. And are they having fun?
No.
Why do you think that is, Mr. David?
Well, I think we can start with people tend to make bad choices. And then they have to live with those choices, which significantly limit their ability to enjoy their life. There's any number of examples. Having kids too young or too many can be a problem, really hinder you in life from having fun. But for me, I've largely been able to maneuver around the normal pitfalls of young adulthood, and as a result, like, I have a lot of fun. I like pretty much do like what I want, and that's cool. And I think a lot of other people, they're actually closer to that than they realize. They're just bogged down by what they think other people think they should be doing.
Yeah. I really wish, people didn't get forced into doing things that their parents might have put them in a box to do, or the family chain, because of family business or whatever it may be, But at the same time, the individuals that are doing the things that they're passionate about, but forgetting the fun within them, right? Actually doing it wrong, doing something and not finding the fun in it.
Yep.
As you mentioned,
yes.
If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it right.
I think that's a really important caveat to what I said. It's not that everything you do is fun. It's that not everything, but most things you can do in a fun way. Like, if you choose to find the joy, there's no joy in going to the DMV. Okay, like, you just got to do that, right? Or you got to go to the dentist. Nobody likes going to the dentist, but, like, okay, you got to go to the dentist. But most everything, like, you can find the joy in it. There is some good, there is some enjoyment, some entertainment, some pleasure in everything, I would say. No matter what you're doing. And if you choose to look for that thing, I think that you're just going to have more fun. You're just going to have a better life,
Yeah. Which is why, I wanted to talk about that. Because, we're always trying to find better ways to enhance life, to make life easier, to relieve stress, to add more value to our purpose, to find adventure, to practice new experiences. These are all ways that life becomes more exhilarating, and it's important when we're doing our work or whatever we are passionate about or whatever we do day to day, 9 to 5, to find the fun in it, because that's going to make our days more enjoyable. When our days are more enjoyable and we're having fun, we're healthier people all around.
I'm going to sort of repeat Gary Vee here, but Gary Vee says, I'm paraphrasing, but that, like, if you dread Monday, if, like, on Sunday night you just, like, you just hate the idea of waking up on Monday morning going to work, you're doing it wrong. Like, if you only look forward to the weekends and holidays, like, there's a problem, And again, it's not to say that every moment of every day is going to be great, but in general, you should be working towards something that, brings you joy.
Anita Baker, you bring me joy. To tell you the truth, I fucking love Mondays.
Me too.
And even, like, not being on, like, a traditional, careers.
Well, you've never been on a traditional one, so.
Well, I did a lot of service industry stuff in
But
New
that's
York.
different too. That's a whole nother life.
But still,
I've never done that.
Monday is like, oh fuck, it's Monday. It's the start of the week.
But you don't even have, like, a start of the week when you service industry. If you're like a server, you
Monday,
have a crazy
Monday's
schedule.
Monday. You could have had Sunday off. Sundays are definitely a kind of a lax day in the restaurant, and Saturday is definitely that Saturday. It's definitely a Saturday in a restaurant. So Monday is definitely Monday. But I said all that to say, you drove me down that path. I started to say, Mondays are amazing. Like, they're my favorite days to be in the studio. It's my favorite day to renew a project, to attempt to finish a project, to start a project, because it's just so, like, reset. It's like, take the game out of the Sega Genesis and blow it in the cartridge and you're ready to go.
I think ultimately, and correct me if I'm wrong, the reason for that is you're working towards your priorities.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, look, I never did like real corporate America, but I had a bunch of technology jobs where you sat at a desk and made phone calls and sent emails and sales jobs. And for a lot of people, they just do what they're told just to get out and go home. It's really, they're just trying to fucking get through the day. And they're like sleepwalking, And the reason that I know that is there was no particular moment, but there was a time maybe like in my mid-20s where I stopped sleepwalking. Like it wasn't just school and then like a job and the weekend and just like Christmas and then the next year comes and whatever. And I finally was like, fuck, I'm gonna start working on stuff I care about. And that's so liberating. And I know that comes from a place of luxury. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of other places, people that could get to that place. They're just kind of afraid.
What triggered that moment of impact of waking up?
Like I said, I don't think there was like one solitary moment. It was just this realization of like, okay, well, I can keep going and working for someone else and sort of like going through this motion, but I don't really like it. And most other people don't really like it either. And so I should probably figure out like a better way to do this. And I had lots of good examples. I mean, I got entrepreneurs in my family and a lot of friends, and I was in, around a lot of entrepreneurs. But yeah, it just finally was like, wait, like, yeah, I might have to work harder sometimes, but ultimately, like, I care about what I'm doing, which is just so different. So different if you wake up and you like care about what you're doing,
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely, I think, one of the first steps to enjoying day to day 365. You got to eliminate the things that you don't enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to surround yourself with the things that you do want to do.
See, but I think this is an interesting point. I think most people agree with that. But I think what people struggle with a lot that will be listening to this will be like, okay, well, I have my job, but I don't really know what I'm passionate about. I recognize it's not what I'm doing now, but how does someone discover what they're really supposed to do,
Oh, man, I think you have to go internal for that. You really have to go inward to yourself because no one can tell you out there what you're supposed to do. Like, your dad can attempt to tell you, your dad can attempt to tell you what to do.
Yes, he can offer suggestions. Yep.
Your mom could attempt to make you do something. But in your heart, no one can tell you what to do. In a way, you can't even tell yourself what to do. Yourself has to tell you what to do. And the only way that yourself can tell you something is if you go inward enough to listen to yourself. And you have to be open enough to have that conversation. And many people aren't open enough to even meditate because they're too quick to put up a box of, this is a challenge for me. I can't do this. It's hard. It's not supposed to be easy.
It's scary.
It's not supposed to be peaceful necessarily off the top.
It's chaotic, yeah.
I mean, the objective is definitely to get to a peaceful setting, but, in a sense, closing your eyes and going to the dark, no one said that was going to be a bunch of flowers and, singing ponies jumping around.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think it is far from peaceful, and it is supposed to be hard, but just because it's hard doesn't mean that you need to just abandon it. And just because you abandon it doesn't mean that you need to abandon discovering what your true self is and what your true purpose is. If you don't want to go on that journey and that route, then continue to do what,
Yeah, there's
you are struggling to not want to do.
There's a book, that's exactly what you're talking about. It's a really famous book a lot of tech people like, called The Obstacle is the Way. And basically what it says is doing the hard thing is the right thing to do. And they make all different kind of examples, professional and personal and everything. But essentially that's what you're saying. It's like, if you have a fear of something, something challenges you a lot, that's most likely the thing to pursue in a lot of ways. I think so many times humans look for the easy way out, and they don't realize that it's very short, temporary struggle. Like, are you willing to sacrifice 5 years? Are you willing to give up watching TV for 5 years? At night, do something else. Research something, write something. Don't watch TV at night. Like, right there. If you really want it, you can do it. Everybody has something else they can do, and
sacrifices.
Just as humans, we're just inherently afraid. We're afraid that. I didn't even know exactly what we're afraid of. I've dealt with this in my life several times, but what am I even afraid of? Like that I'm not going to eat, or like everyone's going to hate me. No, that fear is totally unfounded. We're so free to try and to fail and to try again and try something new again. And I just think people, either they don't realize that, because they're sleepwalking, or they have a lot of kids and a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things to pay for, which keeps them in these jobs, these situations that they hate.
Go into what you define as sleepwalking.
Well, I mean, look, I guess the flip side of this has been coined in the sense of like woke. That has a little bit more of a racial undertone than I intended it to be, but it's a similar concept, right? Like you're not aware of life and thus how to navigate it. You just are listening to the same repetitive nonsense about, okay, well, you've got to get into the best preschool possible so that you can get into a good kindergarten, so that you can go to a good elementary school and a middle school, and then get to high school and go to a good college so you can get a good job when you get out. That's sort of like the sleepwalking that I feel a whole generation of people have been given. And it's actually only the generation underneath of us that's now realizing that, I think. Like they're Gen Zs. The Gen Zers, like the millennials kind of acted out and like left their job, like, I'm going to travel around the world. But I think the Gen Zers actually realize that like there are tools out there to live your best life outside of the prescribed path.
Are we millennials?
You and I are millennials, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever called myself a millennial.
Well, these are just generations, What year were you born?
That is completely none of your business.
Okay, well, I can guess.
How dare you?
I could definitely figure it out pretty quickly. I was born in 1987. So you were probably born in...
Millennial.
89?
What does that even mean, millennial?
You were born in 89?
Well, I mean, I know what it means. It means born at the start of the new millennium. Yeah. Right? But... I mean, it's just funny, right? Like, you millennial. It's just funny.
Well, we are what we are,
Yeah. Well, you think the aliens out there are organizing us by
I think millennials
generation?
1984 to 2000.
Do you think extraterrestrials are organizing us by generation?
Do you mean like data scientists Because that's what I'm talking about.
Like, are they putting us, in different categories? Like, for the
Like age groups?
for the ballot at the primaries, you have to select, what race you are: white, black, African American, Asian, Latin.
Yeah. Pacific
But
Islander.
I'm talking about generationally speaking. Do you think, like, they're up there and, like, their UFOs looking at us and, oh, he's a millennial?
No, that's a stupid word we created.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I rest my case. That's all I wanted to say.
But everything that we say are stupid words we created, What is a language? Language is just a agreed upon set of noises that mean the same thing for everybody,
Yeah. Yeah. Language, huh? Well, that kind of brings up to that one topic that I wanted to discuss, which was, what was it? Speaking things into existence, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember why I said I wanted to talk about this? Do you remember what you said?
Nope.
You said something along the lines of you were painting a really bad picture, a horrible image that was going to happen as a consequence to you doing something silly.
Uh-huh.
And it was something involving one of your family members, I believe. But it was just you saying it. And I just kind of had like the impression, that classic definition of the grandma, don't say that, Like you shouldn't say things like that. I truly believe with language, individuals shouldn't say things that they wouldn't necessarily want to actually happen.
You're saying thinking it doesn't warrant saying it. Like, by saying it, you're actually increasing the probability that it would happen?
Yes. For one.
I agree with you, actually.
And for two, by saying it, you're putting negative energy in the air and in your existence and in your mouth. Follow up on that. I'm going to grab some water.
Bring me my Autumn Brands water bottle there. This is a pretty dope spot in Santa Barbara. Big trees.
I'm not going to plug my water bottle.
Don't, because they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
This is the nicest family ever. They cut fresh flowers. They grew fresh, regular flowers in Carpinteria for a long time. And then that business dried up, and the dad was like, hey, we got to do this weed thing. And now they're doing that. And it's legit up there. I had a good time. Anyway, shout out.
Check me out. It's legitimate. Yes, sir. I love some water.
Every year I get older, I like water more. Isn't that interesting?
I think it's one of those things where, it's with time. It's like, as a child, you just you're not supposed to, you just don't like it, and I don't know what it is. I mean, they start you off on milk, apparently.
But see, I know a lot of people that don't really like water. Do you know those people?
Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I just think, like, I can't imagine that. I'm just thirsty all the time. I mean, I also smoke weed all the time, so that contributes. But, yeah, I just, like, water is so good. And people that are like, I only, like, drink soda. I'm like, okay. Are you, like, 11 or?
Yeah, that's too bad for them.
Yeah. I got to stay hydrated,
You got to speak the right things to existence.
Do you remember when you were a freshman at University of Arizona?
I do.
And orientation, and the whole time they just told us make sure you drink a lot of water?
Yeah.
Over and over and over again?
I do, actually.
It was like super repetitive, like the first 2 or 3 days of college in Tucson at the University of Arizona. And you're 1 year younger than me? Or are you 2 years younger than me?
1 year.
1 year, yeah. Yeah, the whole orientation was just like, here's a water, have water, make sure you drink enough water. It's like, it's hilarious. I just remember thinking like, cool, yeah, I love water.
Hell yeah. I do remember that, and I think that they were repeatedly saying that just because if you didn't drink
It's a
water,
liability, yeah. They obviously
Yeah.
had kids come and drink too much and it was hot and they died or passed out or something. You know?
or didn't drink enough.
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, it's really hot there.
It's
very,
really
very
hot, yeah.
very, very dry.
It creeps up on you.
So they're telling you to drink water because you need it.
But it was just like, I don't know. It was like a
Yeah, it's funny.
Curb Your Enthusiasm moment, you know? It's like, I drank, and I was drinking so much water because they kept handing us bottles of water.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It is funny. It is.
I thought it was funny. Anyway.
I didn't really think much about it. I was more fascinated in these ways that individuals were moving around at high speeds on newly designed skateboards that I had no knowledge of at the time. I was like, wow, that's kind of like a really dope way to get around campus.
Yeah. I was just dumbfounded by all the women.
Dumbfounded by all the women.
Just going to the University of Arizona as a freshman.
Now I see
It
what
was
you're
just
saying.
so.
You're a ladies' man. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, would be a compliment. I'm a big fan of a large observer. Occasionally, one decides that they like me enough, but it's just going there was like being in a museum. It's just like everything was a work of art every day, walking around. You know, I just went there a couple months ago, and I just sat on campus and just like hung out. And yeah, it's still the same.
Yeah, they are. They are very beautiful in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, no different than in L.A. We're sitting in Venice Beach. It's fucking unbelievable here too.
Yeah, beautiful people all over the world.
I want to ask you, this is going to qualify as what I'm listening to right now. I'm becoming quite the reggaeton fan.
Yeah.
Particularly like J Balvin and Bad Bunny. Yo Le Ego. That one just gets me. But that whole little, they made like a 9-song album. But some other stuff too. I don't know, like, how do you feel about reggaeton? And like, is that something that you're, like, is that ever something you'd put on?
I think it's dope. There was a time when I was bumping a couple Cardi B reggaeton crossover joints.
I like it.
Collaborations.
I like it, that one.
No, there was another one that I really loved that I would bump a lot.
You got to talk into the mic, I think.
I think I'm all right, but I'll step up for you.
I don't know. I just want to make sure.
I'm right on it. What it was like da 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 na 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 yo da da na
With Cardi?
With a feature. I gotta look at it. It's on my phone.
Okay.
I used to bump that one pretty heavy.
What about way back, like Daddy Yankee days, like, you know, Rompe or Gasolina? Was that you?
I was definitely hearing that in the clubs and stuff, like, or in like the vibes and the. I think when those songs came on a lot in New York, I think.
Yeah.
I was in New York for a while, as you know. But besides that, I mean, that's probably as much as I know. I don't know the genre as much as you do, perhaps. But I definitely like your selections that you've been playing lately. It's definitely catching my ear.
I just know, like, for better or worse, I think like a businessman all the time. And there are just so many Hispanics in the U.S., just so many Spanish speakers, that it's massive. And like, even their numbers, like Bad Bunny's numbers, are nuts. Just because he's catering to this segment that doesn't have a lot, doesn't have as much. And aside from the fact that it just makes you want to move your ass, like, yeah, I just see this huge, like, green field. That's how they would call it in business. Like, green field.
It's great music, great energy.
Yeah.
Very catchy. It feels good. What's the jam that you're playing a lot lately?
Yole Ye Go.
Great song.
Yeah, it's hard. Like,
Great song.
by Bunny.
Amazing artist.
Amazing. That song, the Drake one, Mia, where he's got Drake in Spanish too. It's good, man. It's good.
Yeah, man. It's amazing music. It is. I need to do more homework on it.
I mean, it's got to be like a turn up kind of moment, Like you don't drink a lot, which is a good thing. But it's very much like a, party kind of vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you party a lot? You a party man?
No. I'm more like a watch a documentary kind of guy than a party guy. But I am single, and when you date, alcohol is just a part of the game. It just is. Like, I wish I could just go on a date and have iced tea, but they feel uncomfortable because they want to have a drink because they feel uncomfortable. But then if you don't have a drink when they have a drink, it's like you're some kind of creeper, because why are they just getting drunk and you're going to be sober? And so, yeah, I always end up having like 2 drinks. And I mean, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, alcohol doesn't make me feel very good. So, yeah.
Alcohol doesn't make anyone feel good.
Yeah.
When you really break it down, after as many as you had, it doesn't really make you feel good at all.
No.
It's really sad that individuals might be having a battle right now with those struggles of positive and negative feelings, alcohol attached to it. I know alcoholism is something that definitely is in my family at some degree.
Everybody's family, man.
Yeah, it's the biggest drug in the world.
I mean, it's just insane. Like, I'm no saint, I like weed a lot. We both smoke weed a lot, but alcohol is just one of those things where it's like 2 different people, Like, people just like snap. They just like go into this other mode, and it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to only drink for celebratory reasons at this stage of my life. I know definitely when we met in college, it was a different story.
Everybody drank a lot. A lot. Well, I mean, myself included. I mean, Jack Daniels. I drank so much fucking Jack Daniels. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Wild days, wild days, wild days, Wildcats.
Wow, nice. Wow, nice.
Wildcats. What was your mascot in high school?
Well, I went to 2 high schools.
Yeah.
Laguna Beach High School, we were the artists.
The artists?
Uh-huh.
Wow, I didn't know you were an artist.
Yeah, we got a lot of poo-poo for it, too. Because it's like not cool to figure like a football team and your name.
That's why I just do my
They actually changed it.
Zinger at you, zinger.
Yeah, I'm an artist. Yeah.
Okay.
But now they're called the Breakers. Actually, they changed their name.
And then,
but when I was there, it was.
What was your second?
Sage Hill Lightning. We were the Lightning.
The Lightning.
Not bad.
The Lightning. That's kind of interesting.
It was cool. And on our field, we had a bunch of like lightning bolts and shit. It was, it was cool.
Okay. Because lightning isn't almost necessary. It's kind of like bigger than one thing, The lightning. Does that not sound weird to you?
There's a few sports teams like that, like the Jazz.
That kind of makes sense.
Why?
Because it's Utah.
That doesn't make sense at all. It's because they used to play in New Orleans.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
So then why they go to Utah?
Money. You know, a long time ago. In the 60s or something.
No, shout out Utah.
New Orleans has a Pelican and have their own team still, you know.
Shout out Utah.
Why?
Utah was actually the first place I did a show on the Everybody tour.
Cool.
So I got love for Utah.
I mean, I don't have anything against Utah. It's a little cold for me, but...
Hey, bro.
Joey.
Utah's very nice. I like Utah.
I should spend some more time there.
Spend some more time.
Anything else you want to discuss on this particular episode, friend?
What were we talking about before we jumped into...
We were talking about reggaeton.
No, before we were talking about mascots.
Right.
How did we start talking about mascots?
Sage Hill Lightning. Laguna Beach Artists.
Oh, we were talking about college.
Arizona
so we're just doing
Wildcats.
A rewind now. This is the first podcast where we're gonna go backwards and do a review. And
you know that Nas song, Rewind?
Great song.
It's one of the most
From
creative
Stillmatic.
songs ever. One of my favorite albums ever.
Incredible album.
Incredible. Better than Illmatic, by the way.
You think?
For me, yeah.
Ooh, we're gonna end the music and mental health podcast talking
we
about
can.
illmatic versus Stillmatic.
Here's the thing.
You
for
really
me.
want to do this
Like,
right now?
Everybody wants to rank these things. If Eric was here, he's really about like debating the merits and ranking them. For me, it's like when I say it's better, I just mean I like it more. Like, it doesn't really matter what is the best because art is all how it's perceived. And so, like, Stillmatic represents a really important step in my hip-hop education. Illmatic, I was like a little kid, you know?
Well,
so I've listened to it. Illmatic is fantastic. But for me, Stillmatic holds a more emotional journey. You know?
because of your connection and your first experience with the material.
Exactly.
And do you think, had you experienced Illmatic, well, what would we say, damn near 10 years earlier, would we think that you would maybe be having a different perspective on this current conversation?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're all just one big ball of influences and emotions.
And experiences at point in time.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing, if you really want me to be like technical about it, like really like the merits of them, Stillmatic is recorded with a lot better equipment and production value and everything than Illmatic too. And a lot of people like that Illmatic has that sort of underground retro feel, which is cool. I get it. But Stillmatic for me is much cleaner than Illmatic.
I think Illmatic is extremely clean and extremely delicate. A beautiful classic.
I mean, yeah, we're splitting hairs, you know. Like.
Stillmatic is also an amazing project. For me, I think I gotta give it to Team Illmatic on that. But I do think that Stillmatic was probably my introduction to Nas also. Mm-hmm. And also potentially my play count might be highest for Stillmatic more than any other Nas album because of the fact that that was the one that I listened to the earliest. And right. I remember the summer that my brother purchased that album.
Yep.
My mother and grandmother were living in Phoenix, Arizona at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he got that CD and he was bumping it. And Rewind was one of those tunes.
So good.
That definitely one of the
if
first
you haven't heard
catchers.
it, you got to go listen to it. He tells a story in reverse and raps the whole. It's just nuts. It's just a nuts thing. I never heard anyone do anything quite like that. Like, not Eminem, not Jay-Z, not Talib Kweli, whatever. Like,
Yeah, Nas.
Nas. N-A-S, Nas.
What's your top 5
Dead or alive?
rappers?
Ever? Really, ever? Okay, is this like technically the best or my favorite?
Well,
Like, you want me to rank them like objectively?
Since we did favorites.
Okay. Because I think favorites is way more important.
On the album, right? We did favorites on the albums. So let's just do favorites on the artists.
Yeah. It really changes for me. The top 2 or 3 change for me all the time. They kind of like battle, but it's some combination of Nas, Eminem, and Jay-Z. And Jay-Z just hasn't made a lot of music in a long time, so he's sort of like falling a little bit for me. But if he came out with a really strong, like Eminem just came out with the really strong project, Music to Be Murdered By, and I loved it. And so like right now, yeah, like Eminem is probably my favorite. But if I look at like the balance of his career and his style and what he represents and the kind of person that I would want to associate with, it's 100% Nas. Like, he just like, I like the way he does things, He's like not a crazy, flashy, like I'm a rapper. Like, that's not important to him. I just think that's dope, I had one meeting with his manager one time. We were talking about investing in some technology stuff, and I was like, what's Nas doing? What's he doing tonight? He's like, oh, Nas just likes to sit in the hotel room, watch movies, and smoke weed, And I was like, yeah, I get that, So Nas for sure. Eminem, Jay-Z, and then I got a couple that might surprise you. Like, I really like Fabulous a lot. I like Jadakiss a lot. There's a new Jadakiss album coming this week. Pretty cool. There's a couple big features on that I saw too. I mean, Kanye, if we want to talk about artists, but he's not in rappers. He's not in my top 5. Definitely not. Sure, everybody wants to say Biggie and Tupac, but Biggie above Tupac for me for sure. But yeah, Wheezy. That's the one that I didn't say.
All right, well, hold on a second.
Wheezy.
I think you've almost named 8
10.
or 9.
Okay, let me go again. Let me go again.
5.
Nas, Eminem, Jay-Z, Wheezy, and God, it's so hard. Like Pusha T, Fabulous, Jadakiss.
Hold on a
one
second.
of those. One of those. I got the top 4
That's not how
for
you
sure.
do this.
I got the top 4 for sure.
We gotta settle. You
It's
gotta
hard.
stop at 5.
It's hard, bro.
You gotta stop at 5. That's not how this works.
Okay.
Come on, we gotta be honest
Nas,
with people.
Eminem, Jay-Z, Wheezy, for sure. Wayne is that 4 is for sure for me.
Okay.
This is where it gets really tricky at number 5.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I haven't even said like 3 Stacks yet either.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Like where does he fall?
We're still in this, folks.
Yeah. I don't know. I got 4 for sure, man. If we're really going favorites,
You want to surrender at 4?
I think so. I
gonna
don't
throw
know
in
if
the towel?
I can crown that number 5.
All right, just throw the towel. Spare the people.
Okay, let's see if you can do
your
better.
agony.
Can you get to 5?
Can I get to 5?
Yeah. These are spitters. We're talking about rappers, right?
Top 5, dead or alive,
Yeah.
rappers, my favorites.
Yeah.
All right. And this has to be in rank of order of my
Yes.
personal favorites. Can I just put them all in a batch?
No, you can just
No,
do
right.
5 if you want. That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
All right, no particular order.
Yeah.
My top 5 is Yasin Bey.
Okay. Most Def.
Definitely Andre 3000.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Definitely Kanye West.
But as a rapper.
As a rapper.
Okay.
Late registration is just so important to me.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, obviously, I love Kanye, right?
I got two more
Yeah.
to say.
How many are you at right now?
That's 3.
Yeezy, 3 Stacks. What was the other one you said?
Yasin.
Oh, Most Def. Yeah. Okay.
And my other 2 favorite rappers are Nas
Yeah.
and number 5. I guess number 5 is hard. Now I guess I kind of see what you're saying.
There's just a lot more, you know.
Number 5.
I mean, you have a few that I cannot believe you haven't included yet. But
Well, hold on a second. Number 5. And my 5th favorite rapper through all my days, who I listen to the most, no doubt, would have to be MF Doom.
MF Doom. I had a feeling you were going to say that. I don't know. Longevity just means something to me, man. Like, number of projects and, like, cultural impact. It's your list. It's whatever you want. That's why I like the favorites list more. But I can't believe you didn't include Jay-Z in your list. And there was no Eminem in your list. And no Wayne either. Wow. All right. Well, I respect that. That was fun.
That was fun.
I enjoyed that.
I guess you didn't really expect that curveball, huh?
My top 5? Well,
yeah.
I actually have asked that people on my other podcast too before.
Oh, really? On
Just
your
just like as a random, you know, yeah.
IVC.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. This is like totally catch them off guard, and they're like, Biggie, Tupac, and then some people are just like, 50 Cent. I'm like, no, man, get out of here. Podcast over.
And like I said, those are just my favorites. That doesn't necessarily mean like who I think the best, the most influential.
Yeah. But I think
renowned.
that favorites is a much better discussion, because when we talk about best, I mean, how do you define best? If we're talking about money, well, there's an answer, you know, like, but favorite is this sort of like,
oh, even when I say
you know?
best, I don't mean money either.
I know, but I'm saying if we say best, like, we have to pick a metric by which to say they're the best. But if you say favorite, then it's kind of more interesting because I'm learning about you, right? I'm not having this debate. I'm like saying, oh, this is representative of Damian. I think that's way cooler.
You know,
Like if you asked me the best restaurants in Los Angeles, it'd be a lot different than my favorite restaurants in Los Angeles.
yeah.
I don't go outside anymore though. Coronavirus time, I'm just inside hanging out. The weed protects us. We're good.
How does that affect your mental health?
You know, it's one of those things. I was going back to sleepwalking. I think the people that are really worried about corona right now are drinking the Kool-Aid.
You're sleepwalking?
They're sleepwalking, yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Because they're worried about that.
They're agreeing and listening to the narrative, living by the narrative that the media has created for them. That we should be afraid. And I'm not afraid.
Huh. Wow. That was some very bold words that you just said here.
It's the same thing with politics, man. If you watch CNN every day, if that's what you pay attention to, if you read BuzzFeed, whatever, the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, whatever you watch, if that's your input, well, your output can only be some derivative of whatever that was, you know. Let's go watch some more CNN.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you have CNN on.
I like
now.
it. I like it, but see,
jackass.
I also like watch it with a
Just
certain
kidding.
eye. Like for me, it's a joke. Like it's all like it's hilarious to me. But I think a lot of people are real serious about it.
Yeah. Well, how serious can you take it? I think a lot of people take it extremely serious. I think it's the youth that look at this news media as a form of a joke. Like, it's funny how the youth who are younger can see things that the mature, older generations can't see. It's like almost as if their eyesight, I don't know, like it's different. Like the youth, like these kids can see things that we can't see, like these
Like dead
TikTok
people.
kids. Wait, what?
Sixth Sense.
Oh.
Haley Joel.
Shout out Haley.
Yeah, what up?
That's funny. Yeah, crazy. That media can do something to you, and you
It
got
really does a
CNN
lot to us.
You got CNN on right now.
But okay, yes. And maybe I'm just naive. But when I watch CNN, it's with such a critical eye that I don't think I'm being brainwashed by them because I don't agree with what's on the screen. And if I flip over to Fox News, which I do from time to time just to check it out, I don't agree with what they say either. So
You don't agree, what percentage of the information that you see on the screen and they provide do you necessarily agree on?
75% of what they write and say is through their own editorial lens. 25% is fact.
And which percent do you agree on of that 100?
Well, I'll give you an example. Like they'll say that Joe Biden is currently sweeping the nation, right? And when you use these big terms like that, it gives this impression of all or not, that you're either agreeing with CNN or you're not, like a us versus them kind of scenario. And the truth is, yeah, Joe Biden had a great Super Tuesday. But to say that he's either won decidingly or did not is not the truth, right? But they have to pick this narrative because people want to buy into these extreme viewpoints, these extreme headlines, instead of actually reading the facts of what happened and determining for themselves what they think happened, right? Because that's extra work. It is. It just takes time. It takes effort to actually understand what's going on and form your own opinion. And so when I watch CNN, yes, there are some facts there, but they're telling you what your opinion should be about those facts. And that just doesn't work for me. Probably the best one is like if you want to read BBC, it's pretty down the middle. That's pretty. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
I've been seeing a
Compared
lot
to
of,
American
I've been seeing
outlets.
a lot of BBC.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not saying it's not without any bias, but in comparison to American, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, Bloomberg, they're just. I find it much more balanced, but
Yeah. Well. I think BBC shows a lot of what they want to show as well.
of course they do. No, everybody has a slant.
You
It's
know
just a
what?
matter of how much.
BBC has more of a cycle. Is what they have.
They have a what?
They have more of a cycle. The way that they dish out their information, everything goes on like a quick little dial clock.
Yeah.
And I feel like in America, it's more like, all right, whatever it is for the day, it's kind of like glamp. That's what CNN is
All day.
on. Like, yeah, it's like, all right, this is what we're going to talk about. This is what happened.
Yep.
BBC is like that well-rounded perspective is more like, to me, more of a well-rounded perspective in terms of getting information from different articles, not necessarily different perspectives. I think the perspectives are still pretty biased towards one side or the other, whatever that might be.
Unfortunately, that's kind of the human experience. It's being biased. Are you hungry? I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I guess.
I think it's time for eating.
Is it?
Num 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 num.
Is it time for eating?
Yeah.
Well, this was a good one.
Yeah, this was fun, friend.
I had a lot of fun, friend.
8.
Yeah, this should be number 8. Episode 8.
See you next time, folks. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bat.
Yeah, remember that from Batman?
Oh, okay. This is a Batman reference. Da-na-na-na, na-na, na-na, na-na.
Batman.
I'm
talking about the old Batman.
M.